The best way is
If you became a millionaire, would you keep working?
I want to tell you guys something. What's going on right now is California's trying to figure out about crypto. My name is Ben. We're talking balls.
Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, the people's channel, home of the BitSquad, the largest and greatest crypto community in all of the interwebs. My name is Frankie Candle, and on Frankie Candle, just one candle, Frankie Candles. And on this channel, guys, it's our mission to help you find financial freedom through crypto assets. My name is Frankie Candles, and I'm going to be your fill-in host for today's show. And it's going to be a good one. Right now, a minute early. I know that TJ likes to say this clock is off, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it's on time. 11:29. We are early on the show, guys. Again, we do have an amazing show. It's a crispy 69 degrees in here.
Hey, 69.
Nice and cool. But yeah, we got a lot of good topics to talk about today, guys. But don't forget to smash that like button. Bitcoin doing some crazy things. We got that absolutely massive rip last night. So if you like Bitcoin going up, if you like the green candles, smash that like button.
Yeah, just real quick sentiment check. How are you feeling about us like recovering to 20K or 19.5 so quickly and holding it for what looks like for the time being? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely crazy. Obviously, I've been talking about this for like a week, just expecting some crazy volatility, when that CPI report came out. And we got it. We definitely got it. We were joking around about talking, saying how when Bitcoin is just napping and it's just not doing anything, if you poke it a little bit, sometimes it wakes up and surprises you. Obviously got that big dump down. And then I was like, saw that and I was like, here's the volatility. And then we ripped back to the upside and I was like, this is what we were expecting. But yeah, we were looking at those higher timeframes. I was very, very pleased to see that heavy bounce because as you guys know, we've been looking at those higher daily timeframes, setting up with bullish divergence, which could wind up playing out in a really, really big way, especially now that it's popping up on the weekly time frame. This is nothing to joke around about. So we could wind up seeing this play out in a bullish manner. However, you guys know yesterday we do have those yellow X's now starting to pop up on those higher time frames. So shout out to Collins21 says, hello, Frankie. What is going on? And also shout out to Adrian Neal says, Frankie is the hardest working man in crypto now. Shout out to Adrian. I appreciate you, man. Shout out to the BitSquad.
That's so true. I was literally just right before we went live, I was telling, man, you need to get some rest this weekend. You are, you're going to work yourself to death. So
yeah, that's it's like a joke in my channel. Like I go in my Discord and people are like, geez, this guy never slept. Frankie, go to bed. They try to push me out of my own Discord. Like, go to sleep, bro. But I can't help it. I just, genuinely love, talking to the people. But yeah, absolutely insane, guys. But I am feeling really good about getting that hard bounce to the upside because of the way the higher time frames look, right? We're going to look at the charts in a minute, but we hopped above that key support level and we were showing the bullish divergences yesterday on the morning show. And I was letting you guys know the fact that we are holding that key level with all these bullish divergences forming even on the 2 and 4 hour, then we got that big move to the upside. So beautiful to see. And again, because of the way those higher time frames look with momentum coming to the upside, if we hold up here and we don't get a big rejection down in the next day or so, I do think we can continue up. And I'm going to be showing you guys all the targets and, more specifically what I'm expecting. But let's go ahead and actually, TJ, how are you feeling about this? Are you do you think this is just kind of like a little dead cat bounce, or do you think this might be the start of some bigger relief?
No, I think it's just a bounce off of that CPI. I think it was an overreaction to the CPI numbers coming out. They weren't anything that crazy. It was pretty much expected. So you got that kind of volatile to the downside and a hard bounce off of it. It shows the strength of these levels right here. But the thing I've been talking about and still kind of holding out to watch is that last Fed meeting. Still think there's going to be another rate hike. And if there is, that'll be the final test to me to see if this level, like if we can do this, if we do something similar that we just did off these CPI numbers on this next Fed rate hike where we go down into the 18s and then recover quickly, then I'll feel very good to say, I think we're moving up from here. Timeline wise, it lines up. And, there'd be a lot of confidence in recovering from there. I think we're close and everybody's ready for Bitcoin to start ripping. I was reading stuff today, 2024 could be the most epic and, capping out in 25, but could be the most epic bull run we've seen in Bitcoin's history, which I know everybody here would be excited to experience that, which is why getting in right now, learning right now, accumulating right now, educating yourself right now is what it's all about. But as far as the bottom, I'm still holding out for a couple more weeks, but each week that goes by, each deep dip that we bounce off of, the sentiment gets stronger, and really the technicals and the fundamentals are getting stronger at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always warn people, I am saying that we could chat's crazy. I do talk about how we could get this bounce, right? But I do want to be clear. I'm not calling for all-time highs or anything. Lower lows could still potentially be incoming, and I'm going to show you guys the levels and kind of what I'm expecting. I don't want to get too into it now until we jump into the charts. But shout out to Cameron Eastman. Says, Frankie, Pluto Alliance loves you. So grateful for all your hard work and dedication to the BitSquad. Will you be going to the Pluto Alliance cruise? Pluto Alliance Earth King. Shout out to you, Cameron. I do appreciate that. And I don't mind working hard for you guys. I love you guys. And yes, my plan is to get on that cruise. Absolutely. Cruises, fun fact, cruises are 100% Frankie Candles and Mrs. Candles happy place.
No way. Nice.
Yeah, we are huge cruise people. They're just magical. There's something about being in the middle of the ocean with no phone connection, with every amenity possible that is just, I absolutely love. It's the most relaxing thing ever. So yeah, my plan is to try and get on that for sure. But with that being said, guys, let's go ahead and get the show started here. Don't forget to follow me, Frankie Candles, on YouTube. We go live every single weekday at 5:45, and we do 2 hours of TA. I know that sounds overwhelming, but we try to keep it fun. We do tons of giveaways, but you got to smash the like button. Speaking of that, smash that like button. But yeah, don't forget to follow me on YouTube, Frankie Candles, and Frankie_Candles on all of my socials. Creeping up towards 8K on Twitter. Let's go. Yeah. Follow me on Twitter. Let's go. Let's get it to 8K. But yeah. Let's go ahead and take a look at the markets here. Obviously, we finally had some interesting stuff go on here. Going sideways for what feels like forever. It is refreshing. I didn't even really care which way this went. I just wanted it to pick a direction and go.
Volume ticked back up a little bit, though, if you check those numbers out.
Oh, yeah, let's check. So we got 21,328 projects. That number always blows my mind. Yeah. Market cap at 930 billion. And then, yeah, volume ticked up, not looking too bad. BTC dominance at about 40.1%, ETH dominance at 17%, and then your ETH GUI is, or your ETH gas is at 22 GUI. But let's go ahead and check out the prices here. Bitcoin coming in currently at 19,375, seeing a little bit of a cool off. If you guys were watching my stream last night, we did get that second rip up to our second target, which we'll be looking at in just a second. But I was saying, the 4 hour was starting to cool off. That 1 hour was starting to cool off. So I was expecting a little bit of a short-term pullback, and the Candle Mafia will know I was very excited I'm very excited to see this pullback because I am hunting for a potential long entry here as long as all my other bullish confluences are still in play. But yeah, 19.3 cooling off a little bit, not unlikely to see after a big rip up like that. Ethereum coming in at 13.12, up about 4.8% on the day. Let's go ahead and check our top gainers. ENS up 12.4%. Look at that. We got Lido up 7.1%, CeeLo up 7%, and then shout out to TJ Cosmos up about 5.5%, and Quant up 6.7%. And if I could take just a random temperature check of my community, lot of interest in Quant. Yeah. Everybody wants me to look at Quant. So yeah, everybody loves Quant apparently.
Well, and it's another one that is just like I was talking about Cosmos last week. If you look at a little zoom out beyond the 3 month, or even just looking at the 3 month on CoinMarketCap, you can it's been moving up fairly considerably over the last few months. So you can say it seems like one that, again, no guarantees if we get another major leg down, especially with alts, anything's possible. But if you're going back to September at this point, or even, July, it's been up considerably from there, which is probably part of why people are watching Quant, Cosmos as well. Both of them strong alt projects, strong team, strong tech, strong use case into the future, and decent looking on the chart as far as it, you can make a very strong case that they've both already bottomed.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, Cosmo's doing very well. But moving on here, guys, I guess I'm going to cover the market watch stories and then the charts.
Yeah, perfect.
Because yeah, I think there's we'll kind of not read through these, but I'm kind of just going to headline read these. But BTC eyes 20K after dropping to 3-week low amid CPI induced volatility. Yeah, obviously, it's actually very interesting because there were some people out there that might have just called hey, 20K. And then we woke up this morning and it was like, or, even if you were up a little bit later last night, you're just like, oh, wow, interesting. It's almost like they know something, but we're going to cover that in a little bit here. But yeah, a lot of people were eyeing that level of about 20K. I'm going to let you guys, again, we're going to jump into the charts in just a second, but Bitcoin went through a roller coaster of a trading day, dumping to just over $18,000 before shooting back up to 20K. I mean, this is the washer machine activity that you get on these, when you get this news coming out. I mean, we've seen this a lot recently. I remember the last Fed meeting, it was just like, I got into a short. I thought I was going to ride that down. I took profit, got into it was just like bing bong. I said that yesterday. I was like, talk about bing bong. Like, I mean, it's just straight up, straight down, which is why I am approaching with caution, guys, because we have seen recently with every time we get news like this, sometimes we get these big rips up, everyone gets excited, and then we eat all the gains right back up. It's happened many times in the recent past here. So I am approaching with caution. But our next market watch story, Bitcoin price prediction as BTC jumps 7.5%, reversing losses. More gains to come, ? The overall crypto market has gained more than 5% in the last 24 hours, while a number of large market cap coins also made impressive gains. So, essentially, market watch stories are pretty easy today, just exciting price action. So I do just want to jump right into the charts here because we do have a lot to look at. Now, obviously, if you maybe work overnight or tons of hours and you have not looked at the chart or have not seen the price action, this is what we're talking about here. The absolute dump on the CPI report brought us below our value area low. Now, I do want to talk about this for a second because this was our key level that we have been watching. I talked about this yesterday, and it is our value area low, which is a very, very key level. Every time we break this level, let me go ahead and zoom out a little bit and just show you guys. My lines are still here from yesterday. Every time we lose, I'm just going to clear it up a little bit. Every time we lose this white line, this value area low, we come down, and with the volume profile, if you come out of the value area, which is if you're below the value area low, you are out of the value area. If you come out and you don't bring new volume in, it is likely that you get snapped right back into the value area. And for anybody wondering, I don't know if they can see. I'm just going to move this. Can you see the left side of my screen where it says POC and VAL?
No.
Okay,
what you see is exactly what they see.
Okay, got you. There you go. Okay, so you see what I mean by value area is between the level of the value area high, which is all the way up here, and the value area low is considered your fair value for the asset, right? So when you come out of the value area low and you don't have a lot of trading volume down there, it makes it likely that you shoot back into the value area. The Bitcoin, the price wants to be within the value area because that's the fair price. So anytime you come out, a lot of times it's likely to get snapped back in. So we lost it here, big bounce right back in, lost it here, big bounce, big bounce. Every time we've come out, we've gotten saved and gotten sucked back into that value area. And I did think that if there was one time where we were going to lose this and come lower, it was probably going to be this time. But yet again, we get that strong bounce up. And obviously, once we saw this, that we came back in, this is how I've been trading the market, and it's been really, really successful. Every time you lose the value area, typically you can get a pretty nice short. I was in a short for this. My short is now completely closed. I got stopped out in profit off of this second little pump here, but it was winning trade. That's what I love about moving your stop loss into profit. I'd taken profit twice, and then I put my stop loss in profit, and then when I got stopped out, I got stopped out for a winning trade. So
are you in any open trades right now?
So right now, my thoughts, which I talked about on the stream the other day before we got the CPI news, is I was trying to hold my short and then find a long entry so I can kind of be hedged, right?
Yeah.
So that was my ideal situation. But I do think this is actually important to say I never got into my long trade. And the reason I want to bring this up is because I wasn't going to FOMO in on a big pump, right? I was waiting for my entry. I never got it. And we started pumping, right? I did not FOMO in. Now, did I take a little bit of an L missing out on this pump? Absolutely. But there was no guarantee that we were going to come up this high. And a lot of the times when you FOMO into a trade like that, typically you're usually FOMOing in at the top. This wound up being a pretty explosive move, but I'm fine losing out on that because I made money on the short, like I just said, and I'm much happier, not FOMOing into the trade and knowing that I'm safe rather than just gambling, FOMOing in, and hoping it continues to go up. So I always tell people don't FOMO, and then I say, will FOMOing pay off at some point, like 1 out of 10 times? Sure, maybe. But I just don't take those risks. I'm more of a conservative trader. So, but now, now we actually are potentially finding some good long entry. I wanted to say opinions, opportunities, but so yeah, so I am not in an open position right now. My short was stopped out in profit yesterday, but I am looking to re-enter into a long position, and we're going to talk about the targets that I would be looking for if the bullish confirmations present themselves. But once we bounce right back in here, guys, I'm going to come to the 4-hour real quick. Once we came above this value area low with that 4-hour candle, this is when I posted in my free Discord as we were holding this key level of support. You can see that we put in a beautiful bullish divergence, one of the most reliable trade signals that I have ever seen. I rely very heavily on divergences simply because they work. And you can see you have a low on your momentum wave, and you can see this is a little bit higher. So you have a diagonal line going to the upside here. And again, this was in my free Discord. So shout out to any of the people in my free Discord, and shout out to the Candle Mafia for anyone who saw that in time. But I put this in the Discord, bullish divergence with your higher low on your momentum waves and your lower lows on price. But not only did you have that, you also were at your key level of support. So you're holding key support, you have the bullish divergence, and then I'm not going to show it, but when we went down to the lower time frames, you had money flow coming up. So those are 3 really, really good confirmations to enter a long position. And that wound up hitting, I mean, we got in, I put the signal out at, although it's not a signals group, I am very, but the trade idea was put out there. I think we were sitting at around, 19.9, something like that. So wound up getting a pretty decent move out of that. So shout out to the Candle Mafia if you guys saw that and were able to take advantage.
Yeah, we just dropped the link if anybody wants to join that free Discord. Link is in the chat. Hang out, learn a lot. And Candle Mafia, one of the best communities. Very engaged, very friendly, loving, helpful. So hop in there if you want to learn about trading.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the most popular messages I get is thank you for your Discord. If you're not in there, the Candle Mafia helps me out every single time. So it's a super helpful, educational TA and trading Discord. But with that being said, guys, we did get that bullish divergence played out massively. And once we were above that value area low, you are automatically expecting to get a move up towards your POC, and that is exactly what we got, and that is just based off of the way that volume profiles behave. And again, if you want to learn more about that, get in that Discord and subscribe to my YouTube channel. We talk about it all the time. It's one of the main things I use in my trading. But there you go. Come in the value area, shoots right up to the POC, and then we got a decent rejection now where I am looking for longs. And then also yesterday, another way you could have caught this pump was this 2-hour bullish divergence. Same thing, lower lows, higher lows, and then you would enter in, near this green dot, which would have gotten you in at that same part, that we were just looking at on the 4-hour, and then beautiful move. So I just like to go over this so you guys can kind of see this stuff if, we're not out here calling it for you. But with that being said, where could we be headed in the near future? Now, looking at the 4-hour, it does still look like we could potentially cool off just a little bit if we print a red dot on the 4-hour time frame. So I am waiting for that. Once we print that red dot, that's really when I'm going to expect to, see how much further we can come down and really find the long position that I'm looking for and potentially ride this up. Now, if we do get the red dot and we come down a little further, I would love to potentially hold this level right here, this gold box coming in at about 19,250. And if we can hold that, and this red dot does print and we come down a little bit and then we get that next green dot on the 4-hour, I may be looking to enter a long position, also checking bullish divergences on the lower time frames. But I think the question everybody's wondering is how high can we go? Now, obviously, that point of control was a pretty obvious target once we held above that value area high, came to the value area low, come to the VAL, you're going to the POC most likely, and now we are going to retest. And the POC is the level we need to come above to potentially get another move up to our next box, which was our previous high that we just rejected from, which is coming in at about 20,400. So once we get above 20,400, this is the level that I'm looking for. If we break this, guys, there's a likely chance that we are going to come much higher. And the reason for that is, and by much higher, I mean, once we get above 20,400, probably going to be a pretty quick move to about 20,800. And if we break 20,800, we are most likely going to be coming up towards these previous highs at about, almost 22K. And I don't want to do like moon math here with you
No,
guys.
let's do some moon math. What does it take to get to 25? Is that the
Okay,
next
yeah.
level?
So I will say this. Listen, the higher time frames, if those yellow X's, which we're going to take a look at in just a second, if we can get those yellow X's to disappear, the higher time frames don't look bad. And if we do get a strong bounce, and I'm going to show another reason why I'm feeling pretty good about this as well. If we get really 20,400 is the main level I would like to get above. And if we can get above that, I think we could get, close up to, 22K. And then once you get towards that range, if you want to come back up to about 25K, which is obviously all the way up here, I don't think it's impossible. We'll have to see what happens. Those yellow X's are the one thing that has me a little bit iffy. But if we could get them to disappear, I do think, there is a potential possibility for us to get up there. And then once we get up there, that's where the talks start coming about 28 to 30K. Obviously, we're very far away from there, guys. I'm not saying we're going to get there today or tomorrow. But I'm just saying if we continue in a bullish manner here, 25K is not completely out of the question, but it's not going to be the next stop, right? The next stop, likely, if we can get above that POC, the next target I'm looking at is this gold box, again, between about 20,100 and about 20,400. And then once we battle those highs, that's when we can start to try to imagine, potentially making it up to 22K. And then once we break that 22K, that's when you can start looking at 25K. But you want to remember also, 22K, or more technically 21,869, that is our value area high of this range. So again, once you break the value area low and flip it to support, it's likely you come to the POC. I talk about this every single day on my channel. So I hope the candle mafia is out there being like, oh, wow, this really does work. But it shoots up to the POC right there. It's very likely. And then once you flip that POC to support, it is likely that you can come up to your value area high, which is at 21,890 or 869, right? So, and then, all these other targets are kind of just bumps in the road on the way to your value area high. So these are some of the levels I am looking at. Another really, really bullish thing I am looking at is on the daily time frame. You can see, guys, we are starting to put somewhat of bullish divergence here on the daily, as the daily is printing a green dot. So again, that 4 hour looking to print a red dot could bring us down in the short term, but the daily printing a green dot as your price is coming down and momentum is coming up, this is another really, really bullish sign. And if we come over to the weekly chart as well, I just want to point this out real quick, guys. This, it doesn't look, it's not looking as good as it was before, but this is somewhat of a bullish candle. It was looking a lot more bullish when I was looking at it before, but
don't you love when you do research for the stream and then by the time the stream starts, it's completely invalidated?
TJ, I literally yesterday filmed a pre-recorded market update.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was showing out all the TA, and then by the time I cut it and uploaded it, price just started moving. Yep. And I'm just like, I put it in the Discord. I'm like, guys, it's almost impossible to get these out before price moves. But
they were giving us a hard time yesterday because the title, by the time we went live, the title was already pretty much outdated as far as like Bitcoin getting crushed by inflation numbers because it had already recovered.
Right.
But
yeah.
Gotta love Bitcoin.
Dump.
Yeah.
And then it's pumping.
There you go.
But yeah, so again, bullish divergence on the weekly as well is a pretty good sign. Also, we lost that red dot on the weekly, which is a pretty good sign as well. Now, I do just want to turn on Market Cipher A and just look at if we still have our third yellow X. Oh, wait, hang on. This is not Heikenashi's. Guys, the third yellow X on the weekly time frame is now gone. This is what we need to see a big move out of Bitcoin. Looking at the 5-day, we still have it on the 5-day, but that weekly disappearing is a pretty good sign, and that 4-day is still there as well. So I would like to see these yellow X's on the 4 and 5-day also disappear. That would really make me feel pretty bullish, because if we get rid of those, we would be set up still in a pretty bullish manner. Hopefully we can get that money flow coming back up. But these higher daily timeframes is what I'm looking at to potentially, really see a big move. But we got to get those yellow X's to either disappear or get immediately invalidated. But if you guys want to stay up to date with that, definitely join. Someone asked, how do I get in the Discord? TJ just threw a link in. If you scroll up, you could probably find that.
Yeah, it's pinned to the top of the YouTube chat right
now. There you go. So you could just click right there and hop in. But yeah, guys, again, short-term potential continued pullback here. here in the immediate short term, but that daily with the bullish divergences forming and hopefully that money flow starting to round up, I do think things can go a little bit higher. Hopefully that 4-hour red dot does not bring us down too much. And again, some of the levels I'm looking at to potentially then go to the lower time frames for bullish confirmations to enter along is going to be coming down to this gold box and holding support on this gold box. So I hope this, if there's any way to sell a volume profile, guys, it's the 17 times in the past couple months that we've come out of the value area, and then once we came back into the value area, we came right to the POC. This has happened so many times in the recent past that I hope you guys are taking this and studying your volume profiles, because it's the most powerful thing. It's the number one thing I wish I knew when I first started trading. It would have saved me a lot of money. But there you go, guys. That's basically my general thoughts. Short-term cool off here, continued a little bit, and then, a potential bigger move once that daily green dot confirms. Shout out to Jeremy Shorter. He says, don't forget to smash those likes and subscribe buttons. Let's go. Hey, he said it, not me.
Yeah.
But
this guy did too, DJ Haas MS. So there you go.
Yeah, DJ Moss said it's not me. I'm not saying you guys have to like it. They're listen, the BitSquad on the Candle Mafia want you guys to hit that like
Hey, look,
button.
if there's nothing else to do in a bear market other than just hit the like button, that's something. So,
That's right.
That's
Yeah,
participation in crypto.
Yeah, exactly. The like button is also at a 75% discount.
Hey.
But yeah, let's move on, guys. I'm going to come back to the charts. There's a couple stories that I just want to touch on a few things with. Actually, before we come off the charts real quick, I just want to take a quick look at the SPY, which is approaching a local golden pocket here with a money flow crossover into the red on the 4-hour. So if we reject this local golden pocket, or even if we wick back up to the 113.78 level and potentially roll back over to the downside, this could be where Bitcoin, maybe we cool off a little bit more, we come up a little bit higher, and then as we reject, that is where you get that Bitcoin pump as that daily green dot confirms. And again, guys, with the Bitcoin pump, I'm not calling for new all-time highs. I know people like to run with that. Definitely not calling for new all-time highs anytime soon. I think in like the most bullish scenario, super moon math, 25K, 30K if you want to get really, really crazy. But, we're way far away from there. Not time to talk about those numbers just yet, but definitely not calling for all-time highs. I would be at 30K. If we come back up to 30K, if we really start to flip bullish and we get it back up to 30K, that is where I am looking for some serious short positions to potentially short it all the way back down and potentially even lower. But let's go ahead and jump into the stories here. Let me just readjust a little bit. So our first story, Bitcoin whale abruptly moves over 245 million in BTC. Here's where the crypto is going.
Is that Justin Sun? What's going on there? I heard something about Justin Sun moving a bunch of stuff around. I wonder if this is him.
Yeah, potentially. It could potentially be. Let's see. According to the Whale Watcher, Whale Alert, the large Bitcoin holder transferred 12,970 Bitcoin worth slightly over 248 million. At the time of sending from an unknown wallet to another unknown wallet. Only 12,970 Bitcoin.
Can you imagine doing a transaction like that? 12,000 Bitcoin in one transaction, and you're sending, wallet to wallet. I mean, I guess you've done it so many times, you've copy and pasted, you trust yourself, but I'd read that one back a few times, I think.
Yeah, I'd get like 7 people to double check it. I'm a little paranoid on that end. I always triple check my stuff. I will, 12,970 Bitcoin. That's, a little less Bitcoin than I usually transfer. I'm usually transferring like 200,000 or something like that. Yeah. I'm just kidding, guys. But continuing on here, the massive BTC transfer comes after blockchain data platform Glassnode recently revealed that Bitcoin withdrawals from crypto exchanges by whales have shot up over the past few weeks. According to Glassnode, the largest net whale withdrawal since June from crypto exchanges was recorded this month. Meanwhile, Ethereum's supply has fluctuated a bit higher after a big influx moved to exchanges before the merge. So very interesting stuff.
Go back to that graph just for a second. I just want to look at that. So Ethereum supply going up before the merge, BTC supply coming down. It's just interesting. I mean, obviously we've talked about that a lot. Inflows and outflows is definitely an important metric to keep our eye on. We feel like a little bit skewed with a lot of the exchange insolvency FUD. But traditionally speaking, large amounts of Bitcoin from whales leaving exchanges is good because it generally means they plan to hold it for a long time. So not anything guaranteed, but definitely an indicator to loosely keep your eye on for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's basically the key takeaway of this is that, if the whales are taking it off exchanges, I'm sure a lot of people watching this know this, but, when you have a lot of Bitcoin enter an exchange, right? If it's sent from a wallet to an exchange, obviously that could indicate a potential incoming dump, as you have to put your Bitcoin on the exchange to sell it, and then vice versa, right? So, I mean, really the takeaway here is that this would be a good thing with them taking crypto off the exchange because, like TJ said, they're probably looking to hold it longer term, potentially indicating that, maybe they think the bottom's in. Or they're just looking to kind of DCA in, and their DCAing is much different than our DCAing.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty good news there. Also could indicate again a potential, if not the bottom being in, but a potential significant bottom being in. But moving on.
Well, yeah, and then Tyler Smith goes, it indicates they're going to hold it until they move it back onto the exchange next week, which,
yeah,
yes
exactly.
and no, could be true, but generally speaking, if you're going to be doing transfers of 12,000 plus Bitcoin, you're not going to be doing that every week. Trust me.
That's a very good point. Yeah, sure. They can transfer it whenever they want, but again, yeah, if you're going to make a giant transfer like that, like TJ said,
you got to have a reason.
Yeah, you're probably planning on holding it in that spot. If I were in that position, I don't know if the 12,000 or so Bitcoin is a lot to them or not, but I probably wouldn't be trying to just fling that thing around all over the place. Shout out to Tom Crown in chat, guys. What is going on, Tom? We love you, bro.
Always hanging around.
Oh, hey, Tom. Tony D's got a wrench now.
Yeah, he asked if I could wrench him up, so I did it. He definitely deserves it.
Look at that. Shout out to Tony D.
Yeah.
But moving on here, Bitcoin could outpace the stock market back to the 2017 ratio, and here is why. As it happens, Callio, a popular crypto trader and the co-founder of LegArt, has suggested that Bitcoin could reduce its correlation with the stock market. The analyst drew this conclusion using technical analysis to compare the performance of the flagship crypto to other assets in a tweet on October 14th. And then he showed this BTC US 500 pair. And I forgot to show this. I wanted to show this long-term trend line, which is now actually being broken and retested. We looked at it on my live stream last night, which is very interesting. It's on the Bitcoin chart, not this. It's
that's the top from June.
Yeah, this is on the actual Bitcoin chart. This is if you bring it from 69K all the way to rejecting off of these two rejections, we've actually broken out of that, and we are now retesting it, which could be huge because it's a very long-term downtrend. So very, very interesting stuff there. Again, it's like, this is make or break. The levels that we're at right now, like it's make or break for sure. But yeah, so he shares this chart, and then he says the crypto analyst emphasized that this means that the decentralized finance assets present activity should give it a clear shot to outer space, SPX, back to the 2017 ratio all-time high and higher. So it's pretty interesting to think about this. Like, are we going to see, crypto start to outpace traditional markets? Because we've seen the dollar shoot up in the recent past here. Dollar shooting up. Stocks are getting, just absolutely tanking. And Bitcoin, I've been saying this, Bitcoin kind of just hung out, right? It's had its little dips, it's had its little rips, right? But it's kind of just hung out. It hasn't really been reacting dramatically to the rest of, it kind of has seemed like it's a little bit, it's starting to decouple a little bit, especially when you see the DXY absolutely rip and you don't see that end up in an absolute Bitcoin dump. It's very, very interesting. And in my personal opinion, granted, I could be wrong, but in my personal opinion, I don't know if we're quite there yet. Maybe we see a short period where they decouple. But with the macro factors that we have at play right now, I just don't know if risk on assets are going to become a safe haven, or just crypto in general just yet. But continuing on here.
No, I just real quick on what you're talking about. I agree 100% with what you were just saying. And I was reading an article just recently about how much money is on the sidelines right now. There's more money on the sidelines right now relative to supply than there was back in, 2000 when a lot of this stuff was going to .com bust and all that. So there's a lot of money waiting to get back in for what you're saying, risk on or risk off assets. There's a lot of money in cash waiting to see how all this stuff shakes out. And then I think once we do start moving back up again, it's going to be violent. But I think everybody is in the same boat of like, I don't know if we're doing that anytime soon. So I'm just going to hold on to my cash for now. So, that's what makes me think we might see something a little bit unexpected, but right now we're tracking perfectly along the Bitcoin cycle. So
Yeah, absolutely. That's the other interesting thing too. Is like I know a lot of people think that the Bitcoin bull runs are really just based off of pumps in the stock market, but I mean those 4-year cycles are just so correlated with each other. It's very very interesting. But continuing on here, meanwhile, in the moneystocks.com chief market strategist, shout out to Gareth Soloway.
hey,
Suggested, actually, I think Gareth is coming on my channel next week, I believe. So if you guys are interested in that, go ahead and check out my channel.
nice.
But suggested that Bitcoin would likely correct further towards $3,500 in what he called the worst case scenario. Interestingly, he also cautioned that the divergence from the stock market world, the stock market would not come anytime soon. And guys, I mean, if you, I don't know, you guys probably know Gareth Soloway, but he knows what he's talking about. Right. He was one of the first, I think he was the first person I ever heard mention 12 to or 14 to 10K.
Mhm.
And I remember everybody roasted him. Like, no way. Cause we were still, pretty high up at that point. No one wanted to hear those numbers.
No.
But I will say, I remember him being like one of the first people to say that. And, once we got lower, everybody started calling for it. And yeah, I just thought that was pretty funny. But he definitely knows his stuff. Gareth Soloway is no joke. So, don't take that lightly. But yeah, it is very interesting. Again, I just don't know with what we have going on in the macro right now. It is really kind of annoying because if this was like the 2018 bear market and we
Yep.
knew what we knew now, it would just feel so easy.
Yep.
Right? Like, okay, wait for the 85% drawdown and then, we'll just jump in and ride it all the way to the top. And again, my original prediction for the bottom. Now, this wasn't me calling that, it's definitely the bottom, but my idea of what the bottom could potentially be was mid to low 20s with a possible panic wick down to 18K.
Mhm.
And the main idea of that was retesting the all-time high of 19,666, whatever it wound up being in 2017, about 20K, retesting that all-time high of 20K with a little bit of panic, right? You have to expect once you get down to those levels, people are going to freak out and you're going to get those panic wicks down. And that's kind of where I based my guess off of. And now with all the macro stuff, it's you got to really start to rethink things. Now, if the bottom is in, I'll be super happy because it's like we could get those clips from my live stream months ago and be like, oh, cool, we called the bottom. Granted, I don't really care that much about calling the bottom. But, with that being said, now that we have all these macro things at play, economy, interest hikes, rate hikes, all this crazy stuff. We have all the Russia stuff. I don't want to talk too much about it on YouTube, but you guys know what I'm talking about. This is just throwing an absolute curveball, throwing a wrench in the gears. It makes things completely unpredictable. So just definitely want to keep that in mind. And again, if Gareth Soloway, calling for these lower prices would be, would make sense, right? If there's going to be a time where we see any bear market be different, what better bear market than this one? So moving on here. Top economist David Rosenberg predicts U.S. inflation will plummet below 3% next year and warns the Fed rate hikes are courting disaster. So, I'll just read through it first. The Federal Reserve, let me just zoom in a little bit. The Federal Reserve seems intent on choking the U.S. economy into submission. Despite mounting evidence that the inflation threat is fading, David Rosenberg said in a pair of appearances this week. He noted that delays in vendor deliveries have returned to pre-COVID levels. Commodity prices have slumped into a bear market, and freight rates have declined sharply. Meanwhile, the U.S. labor market appears to be softening for young people, working mothers, and other key groups. He said the central bank might be trying to cool demand, whether or not there's inflation, given its apparent disregard for the gloomy U.S. economic outlook, the surging dollar, and lower commodity prices. So, I was reading through this. I mean, I think basically what he's saying here is he thinks it might be a little bit of an overreaction here with all these rate hikes, which is pretty interesting take. Below 3% in the next year. What are we at right now, TJ? It's like 8 something, right?
8%. Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe there's some funny ways they do that math. If it's year over year, then sure, it's not going to be much. Like you got to remember, 3% next year is more. It's 3% more than the 8% we're experiencing this year. So it's like it sounds like a better number, but it's generally not if you're going year over year. And that's the way they like to do a lot of their numbers. They like to do a lot of mental gymnastics.
Yeah,
I think in the end, that's the funniest thing. I mean, obviously we're not economists, we're YouTubers. But we've done pretty well looking at, financial assets recently. Economists generally have the most bizarre takes on what causes inflation, how to handle inflation, like to to feel confident that inflation is going to be well in hand next year. I feel like is a pretty bold statement. Now, I agree with him. What the Fed is doing is causing a lot of pain on other markets, which I think is intentional. I think this is our act of trade war, and one of the things we have at our disposal is the dollar, and we're using it to crush the rest of the world and put them in submission, crush all asset prices, make the dollar's buying power stronger, and then we're going to go in and buy up a bunch of positive assets, and then we're going to try to keep this cycle going. So I'm not surprised the UN is coming out calling for the Fed to stop raising rates. I'm also not surprised that the Fed hasn't done it. I guess what we're going to find out soon, because the big question is, does the Fed truly care about the interest of the United States, or do they fit the global WEF kind of agenda? And if they stop raising rates per the world's requests, that tells us they are moving towards a global agenda. If they continue, it means they're trying to strengthen the United States, in my opinion. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I think we're going to see another rate hike. I think it's going to cause a lot of pain. And then I think that's when people that have a lot of dollars and they have a lot of cash at that point will be able to make some very strong purchases of assets at very good prices. And that's what creates the gap and makes it, the rich get richer, unfortunately. And, that's just the reality we live in.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you said that we're using the US dollar as kind of like a weapon. Which is, I like that you said that. Shout out to Samsung S9. TJ, we're getting some love in the chat there.
Hey.
I said Samsung S9 said that what was it? Oh, it was right there. It said Frankie and TJ make the best team when Ben is gone.
Hey.
Shout out to you, man.
I'll take it.
And then I'll take that too. Hey, and someone also asked the website I use for charts. It's called TradingView. And hey, he said he's new to crypto. If you want to look at charts, Frank Candles on YouTube. Check us out. We'll teach you everything.
There you go.
But let's move on. Very interesting story. And again, TJ, I love that you said, we're kind of using it as our superpower, having that dollar. But let's see here. So this one is interesting. Swiss National Bank makes another large draw on Fed swap line. The Swiss National Bank this week drew nearly $6.3 billion from the U.S. Federal Reserve's currency swap line facility, roughly double the amount drawn a week earlier. New York Fed data released on Thursday showed. The SNB is one of 5 foreign central banks with whom the Fed has established standing currency swap lines. They are available also to the European Central Bank, Bank of Japan, Bank of England, and the Bank of Canada, and allow those banks to deliver dollar funding to financial institutions in their own jurisdictions.
So just real quick, basically what a Fed swap line is basically a central bank borrowing from another central bank. It's an arrangement between two central banks, ours being the Fed, and then the other ones he just listed there in the EU. What were the banks
it was
EU, Japan,
Japan,
England,
and Canada.
Yeah. So obviously we've been hearing recently stories about those currencies being in trouble. This is a liquidity, obviously, issue when you hear of central banks having to borrow from other central banks. It's because they're worried that they're not going to be able to get the funding to the banks to submit withdrawals, and you risk a bank run. So it's very dicey territory that we're in right now. This is not this is why the UN is coming out asking the Fed to stop raising rates, because these banks are breaking, which is again by design, and then they're having to come borrow from the Fed at a higher rate, and it's
vicious circle.
Yeah, it's amazing the way this is playing out. It's almost like I said, by design is how it feels to me. But sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're totally fine. But it is interesting. The strengthening dollar is hurting them, and then they're coming to us. We were kind of talking about this before. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's a vicious circle. But I'll just continue on here. The SMB is one of the 5. Oh no, we just read that. Sorry, I scrolled up. But the increase this week is substantial, but nowhere near the type of things seen in an acute crisis. Jefferies money market economist Thomas Simons wrote in a note to clients recapping the Fed's weekly balance sheet data. Yeah, so it's just crazy because it's like they're being hurt by the US dollar, and then they're coming to have to borrow from us. I forget. TJ had a pretty good comparison talking about like almost like go ahead. What was it?
No, it was something. No, I think somebody said something about like, oh, your girlfriend cheats on you. It's like your girlfriend cheating on you and then coming back and asking if she can borrow your car for the weekend or something like that. It's definitely like a strange situation where you cause the drama and then they come back and save the day, or it's weird.
Hey, I know you cheated, but yeah, it's
Right.
it's just crazy.
Like, hey, I know I just broke your economy and your bank, and like you're worried about citizens uprising and losing control of an entire civilization. So yeah, we'll borrow you a little bit more money at a higher rate and continue causing the same problem that we're causing right now. Like,
exactly.
Good luck.
Exactly. Yeah, good luck. Yeah. So yeah, just very interesting situation to be in here. But so here we go. We all know this one. The dollar edges higher as yen hovers around a 32-year low. Sterling slipped after a sharp rally on Thursday as reports said British Prime Minister Liz Truss was preparing to sack her finance minister and carry out a major U-turn on the government's tax plans. Last month, Japan intervened to buy yen for the first time since 1998. Investors remained on watch for further intervention after Finance Minister Sunichi Suzuki on Thursday reiterated government's readiness to take action against excessive currency volatility. Focus now shifts to next month's Fed meeting, where it's expected to deliver a four consecutive 75 basis point rate increases. So yeah, dollar. I read this, and I mean, I'm a chart guy, so like every time I see dollar high or dollar going up, I can't help but picture the moon chart of the DXY. And this is I just wanted to cover this because I didn't go over it when we were doing TA, but I do just want to point out, just because they're talking about the dollar edging to highs. One thing with the dollar coming up here is that we are creating giant bearish divergence on the weekly time frame. So I don't know. I know a lot of people say you can have divergences on an index like this, but they play out every single time. So when they stop playing out, I'll stop looking at them. But there is no arguing that we have massive bearish divergence with the price making giant higher highs as your momentum is slightly moving to the downside. So we might not see this DXY, continue, if it continues higher. I don't know how much longer this can be sustained for, as momentum continues to come out here. So just wanted to point that out. That's, Bitcoin higher daily timeframes are looking bullish, and the DXY higher timeframes is actually looking pretty bearish. So I just wanted to point that out real quick.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and it comes right in line with the hikes, right? Like if they've laid this out at the beginning of the year. They told us exactly what they were going to do with these rate hikes. So if they get to this last rate hike, that will push the DXY up just a tiny bit more, maybe even pushing 115. I know some people have thrown out 120, which would be absolutely catastrophic around the world, but that might be the pain level they're looking for. So if we push up one more time on the DXY and then they come out and say they're not going to do it anytime soon, then it just starts the downtrend for the DXY over the next several years. And if they print, it goes even faster. And that's what sets Bitcoin, crypto, other assets to just absolutely rip.
Yeah. It just makes perfect sense. It's crazy how all these things do line up, especially it's like when you stare at charts all the time and then like you see the news and it's like I might see something and I'm like, wow, this is looking bearish. I think this thing's going to come down in the next few days. And then some crazy news comes out and it's like, you can't make it up. Oh, I also forgot. I think we forgot to do Twitter buzz.
We did. Well, it's so weird. You just thought about it. I was just thinking about the same thing, but I don't see it in the rundown. That's why. Usually I stop somewhere in the rundown, but I didn't.
I know we did. They did pick out the tweets. There was actually a couple of interesting ones.
Well, do you want to do it right now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Are we in a good stopping spot? All right,
roll
ready?
with the punches here. Let's go. Twitter buzz. All right. Let's see. This is from our boy, Mr. Muskie, and it just says 20,000. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting.
What is the time on that? 10:50 p.m. 20K. Okay. Well, it's almost like Elon Musk knows something. Elon Musk, maybe I'll have him on my channel and see what kind of TA he does.
There you go.
Super interesting there. Actually, I don't know exactly where we were at 10 p.m. I don't know. We might have already been ripping, so maybe it was an easy call. But or maybe he dropped a little bit of money in there.
It stopped being fun based on his last tweets, right? Like he called the top. He kind of crashed it. So hey, if he could get us going in the right direction again, maybe we can forgive him for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So this one, just in, Bank of Canada reveals 13% of Canadian citizens own Bitcoin. I mean, hey, can't hate that, right?
No. It's so interesting. I saw that same stat. DZ and I were talking on the stream yesterday about somebody came out and said 12% worldwide by 2025, and we were trying to see if we believe that number. It seemed very high to me when you consider developing nations and stuff like that. But then this stat comes out, and it was a lot higher than I thought. And then I think there was a follow-up stat that said something like 30. Don't quote me on these numbers exactly. I think it was around 34% for the 18 to 35 demographic. So the younger demographic, of course, even higher proclivity towards crypto and digital assets. So
yeah,
and Bitcoin specifically.
Yeah, that is what is it at now, dude? Do they know? It's got to be. I mean, at this point, it's got to be pretty low in the bear market, but
I don't think they have an exact number. That was part of what we talked about. They're doing it based on wallet, total wallet addresses, and we know those aren't unique necessarily. Like they don't represent one wallet address doesn't necessarily represent one person,
right?
But it's the best they're doing it by total users as a metric, comparing it to the internet.
Gotcha.
So it's hard to measure, and it's definitely going in the right direction. It's just a matter of will we start hitting some of those parabolic numbers on this timeline, which is plausible. I mean, if we get another insane bull run coming up here in 24 and 25, then people would pile in.
Yeah, stay tuned. 2025. All right, so crypto. Oh, shout out to Crypto Blood. And gold did absolutely nothing yesterday. Sorry, gold bugs. The Terminex man just pulled up to the house. Yeah, I love that one. That was just kind of a fun. Gold did nothing. Gold doesn't typically do much. Especially if you're in crypto. If you're investing in crypto and used to crypto, and then you go into something like gold, get ready to fall asleep.
Yeah, it's tough. It's one of those it's supposed to be a hedge, reserve asset, and and that sort of stuff. However, if you've been in gold for the last 25 years, you're probably not loving it. So
yeah, absolutely. I'm more, it is something I want to invest in. But it's just I don't know, buy a bunch of gold bars to watch it go up very, very, very slowly. Maybe I get a chain or something. I'd rather wear my gold.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, guys, I see you in chat. Thank you so much. You guys are showing love. I appreciate you guys. But let's go ahead and move on. Here we go. Let me zoom in just a little bit here. Pan-Asian digital currency proposed by Chinese researchers to battle U.S. dollar dominance. Seems like the rest of the world's starting to get sick of the dominance here.
That's why the rest of the world hates us. They think it's because of our politics. It's really because of our economic policy, our dollar.
Economic bullying.
Yeah, exactly.
Beijing's efforts to consolidate its economic position in the region have been hampered by a strengthening greenback as a result of the Federal Reserve's aggressive monetary policy. And there it is in all of its glory, the DXY. On October 13th, the SCMP reported that the Pan-Asian currency, dubbed the Asian yuan, would be pegged to a basket of 13 currencies. These include the Chinese yuan, Japanese yen, South Korean won, and currencies from the 10 member countries in the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. So yeah, very similar to the DXY is obviously, the US dollar strength measured against a basket of other foreign currencies, kind of like the same thing here. And then the researchers cited dollar hegemony as a reason to decouple from the world's reserve currency, which is used to settle trade in the region. Since the beginning of this year, the CNY has lost 12% against the USD and JPY, even more at 28%. China, meanwhile, has continued with the rollout of pilot programs for the digital yuan CBDC, according to the People's Bank of China. Transactions using the digital yuan surpassed 100 billion yuan, or 13.94 billion US dollars, as of the end of August. So, this is really just a sign of, again, like what we just talked about, the world just kind of getting sick of, I don't want to say almost reliant, or, everything kind of depends on the US economy, and they're trying to kind of just diverge and separate themselves a little bit, which is totally understandable. If you're in their shoes. So yeah, very, very, very interesting stuff. You have anything on that one, TJ?
No, to be
it's
honest.
just trying to separate themselves a little bit, from America. Like I said, our basic economic bullying of the rest of the world, which is interesting because what is it, TJ? Do you know? Is it 100 years is like the
Roughly, it is roughly the amount of time that reserve currency has been held. I think the average I don't know if it was we were at 108 at one point or 110 or something like that. We were I think the average might have been 108 and we were at 110. I remember thinking we were a couple of years over the average, but yes, approximately between 100 and 115 years is the amount of time that a global reserve currency has held.
Yikes. Yeah. So interesting stuff. So moving on here, Elon Musk, back to our boy Muskie, Mr. 20K himself. But Elon Musk is under federal investigations, Twitter says in court filing. Elon Musk is being investigated by federal authorities over his conduct in his $44 billion takeover deal for Twitter. The social media company said in a court filing released on Thursday. Alex Spiro, or maybe it's Spyro, my favorite video game. Shout out to Spyro. Where's my Spyro lovers at? An attorney for Musk told Reuters that Twitter's court filing was a misdirection and asserted it is Twitter's executives that are under federal investigation. So yeah, this one, okay, here. The SEC has questioned Musk's comments about the Twitter acquisition, including whether a 9% stake he had built up before announcing his bid had been disclosed late, and why it indicated that he intended to be a passive shareholder. Musk later refiled the disclosure to indicate he was an active investor. McCormick has given Musk until October 28th to close the acquisition. If the deal does not get done by then, a trial date will be set for November. Oh God, this is gonna be another multi-year lawsuit with this probably, if I had to guess. But yeah, that is pretty interesting. I mean, they're just kind of, why do you think this is happening? It's just like, why can't Elon Musk just buy Twitter?
Yeah.
Like, why is it this big problem? It's like,
it is very fascinating to me with all this other stuff going on, all the players involved with all the other stuff going on. You know, we talk about Vanguard a lot. We talk about BlackRock a lot, Fidelity, those type of players. Obviously, some of the largest shareholders in Tesla are Vanguard and BlackRock. Also, largest shareholders in Twitter are Vanguard and BlackRock. You know, so there's a lot of stuff going on, I think, behind the scenes. You know, Elon Musk being involved somewhat with digital currencies, with him talking about Bitcoin and talking about Dogecoin, and even the 20,000 tweet today. Like, it's very interesting. They're not upset with him about potentially influencing those markets. They're worried about a little disclosure that was filed when he bought his first investment in Twitter. Then you've also got Gary Gensler of the SEC, who's been, in the spotlight recently, and they're all wrapped up in this Twitter deal. You got bots going on Twitter, and misinformation, and policy and politics, Kanye getting deleted. And realistically, I think for a lot of people, when there is economic unrest or global unrest, Twitter has shown itself to be a very good use of information and a very quick way a lot of information gets out there. That being said, we know it's one of the heaviest for censoring, including, just like Meta and Facebook. But this is all spiraling right in the middle of all of this stuff with the global, kind of parity going on right now. So I can't quite find that common thread that ties it all together yet, but it feels like it's in there somewhere, between Vanguard, BlackRock, Gary Gensler, Elon Musk, Jack Dorsey, like its hands are all over this story. So I think as it unfolds, whether he buys it, doesn't buy it, I really hope there's not another, like you said, Ripple-esque type trial going on with the SEC and Elon Musk. And, it'd be a publicity nightmare. And I don't know, it'd just be, I don't want to talk about it for another year or two straight. What I want is please just buy it by the 28th, fix it, get rid of the bots, make it a better app like you say you're going to do. And then, if you can make Twitter a little bit better, get rid of the bots, then you can maybe bring Kanye back, then some people might like you a little bit more. I don't know. We'll see.
New t-shirts on hitmerch.com. Bring Kanye back.
Yeah. Where's Ye?
Yeah. But yeah, super interesting because that's kind of what I was thinking. I was thinking the exact same thing, TJ. Like, does somebody want to keep these bots at play? And they don't want Musk to clean Twitter up.
Right.
Very, very interesting. Some more Elon Musk, and this claim even wilder than probably wilder than most of the claims.
Okay, I will just say, but before we get into the story, I've seen stuff about this. I've heard claims about this. I know there's a guy on TikTok that talks about this. I'll let you read the story, but I'm just going to go ahead and say I disagree vehemently 100% that he was even remotely involved in the beginning of Bitcoin. Maybe, yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. And shout out to, we got Elon Musk in chat.
Oh, hey.
Saying, guys, I'm selling my Bitcoin 30K. Each good.
We got Gary Gensler chat, and then right behind him, Elon Musk chat. So
This is hilarious.
Yeah.
I love the dedication with the profile pictures too.
Yeah.
But Elon Musk is Satoshi Nakamoto. Old rumor gets new circumstantial evidence. Very interesting here. Sahil Gupta is taking the position that Elon Musk is Satoshi, and hot damn, it has always been a fascinating theory. Gupta is convinced that the creator of Bitcoin is likely to be the PayPal co-founder. It is interesting. Gupta told BN Crypto, a few years ago, I wondered whether Musk might be capable of writing the source code of Bitcoin. I then realized he actually is. Musk wrote the software for his first companies, Zip2 and X.com, which literally specialized in peer-to-peer payments. X.com's source code was written in C++ and described as monolithic. So was Bitcoin's. Very, very interesting. This is, well, we'll just continue on here, and then I'll talk about this for a second. Gupta says that while there is no direct evidence Musk is Satoshi, there is a tsunami of circumstantial evidence. He said it has the rare intersection of geographic location, technical ability, writing style, and motivating philosophy. So, I mean, we got one more thing here. Gupta says that Luke Nosek, another PayPal co-founder, said that the mission of PayPal was to create a global currency. Interesting. They wanted it to be independent of interference by the corrupt cartels of banks and governments that were debasing their currencies, and we succeeded building something economically very powerful and enabled many small businesses. We are super proud of it, but we never achieved the mission. It is known that Satoshi Nakamoto used the British English variants of spelling, but sometimes he used American spellings too. A report on this says it was thought that this was to throw off many internet sleuths. Australian Craig Wright, who claims to be Nakamoto, said that being Australian means that he uses British English. He also says it's proof that he is the creator of Bitcoin. I just feel like the creator of Bitcoin, being so secretive all the time, would unlikely just come out and be like, okay, fine, I'm Satoshi. Like, he's probably going to stay secret anyway.
100%.
So it's just like anyone coming forward and claiming to be Satoshi, I'm just instantly, skeptical about.
Yeah.
But Elon is interesting. I mean, he's got PayPal. It makes sense. They were planning to, I think it was the X.com. They were planning on making a
payment system. Yeah, I mean, it's everything in that article is true. It is circumstantial evidence. He was early at PayPal. That was PayPal's mission. They did feel like they never got it achieved. They ultimately did have to succumb to the power of the banking system and became their own third-party intermediary, where they're just as bad now as the people they set out to fight, with them trying to take $2,500 from people for misinformation. Like, that shows how far that went. It set out to be more decentralized, ended up centralized, and it just, it's a service on the internet. It's a third-party service provider, but it's definitely not the currency they set it out to be. That being said, all that other stuff is extremely circumstantial. Yes, he could maybe code some of his first things. That doesn't mean he's wrote the source code and language for Bitcoin. And there's a lot. I mean, I don't think Craig Wright's Satoshi either, but I do think he's got a much better case. At least he was there at the beginning. He was communicating with Satoshi. That was one of the first people Satoshi messaged was, Hal Finney and Craig Wright and some of those people. So I firmly believe Hal Finney was part of Satoshi at the beginning.
At
a
least
lot of people
involved.
believe, obviously Satoshi wasn't one person, but a group of people. And most likely the main proponent of that being Hal Finney, who has since passed. So that's just my take on it. And I've done a fair bit of research on this, and I think the more you dig, you can find circumstantial evidence for a lot of people. And then if you really press into it and try to validate it or invalidate it, you'll find like, okay, like Elon Musk was over here doing this when, like if you start looking at dates and really do an investigation, you can kind of eliminate people with, non-circumstantial evidence.
Right.
And that's really when it gets down to a pretty small group of people that it could plausibly be. And Craig Wright does fit within that discussion. But to your point, if anybody was claiming to be, or like Satoshi sees the value of his anonymity and wouldn't just randomly one day come out and decide to say, like, I'm Satoshi. And if you did, the easiest way to prove it is just to move some of the coins in Satoshi's wallet, which Craig Wright has always been unable to do. So
Yeah.
that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty easy test, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're it? You're
it? Okay, move a coin.
Yeah, move a coin. Go ahead. Well, I don't really want to.
Exactly.
Someone said John McAfee. I've thought about that. That's another interesting candidate.
It is, and that's what's interesting is those guys, while they hold those ideals, like what the article was saying, they're prolific thinkers and talkers, and John McAfee definitely would be a proponent of it. Might have even been involved early on, moving that conversation forward. For us, we would much rather attach it to a very prominent, public, outspoken figure, when most likely it is not that case. It was somebody more operating behind the scenes because they knew the value of it and the importance of it for Bitcoin's success. Early on, I think, and even now, I think a lot of people, if they, Adam Back, there's a lot of, Adam Back is another one that, other than Hal Finney, Adam Back, Craig Wright, and there's, was it David Schwartz might have been the other one who's also passed away. So there's about 4 guys it could have been. 2 of them are now dead. It's some combination of probably all 4 of them, in my opinion.
Yeah, something I always found interesting is like, everybody's investing in Bitcoin.
Not
and
David
stuff.
Schwartz.
What was that?
Not David Schwartz, the CTO of Ripple, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Not David Schwartz. I said wrong person.
But something I always found interesting is like, Bitcoin has a market cap, which we were just looking at before, of $900 and something billion. It's become an asset class. No one even knows who made it.
Right.
Which is very interesting. Like, dang degens. No, I'm just kidding, guys. But very interesting. I guess maybe one day. You think we'll ever find out, or you think it's just never going to come out?
No, I don't think we'll ever know with 100% certainty at this point.
It'll always be a shadowy figure. But continuing on here, guys, Budweiser turns scoreboards into NFTs for FIFA World Cup. This is exciting.
Actually, sorry, just a side note. I shared this in the Slack here today. Oh, David Chom, that's who I was thinking of.
Okay.
Actually, 30 years ago this week was when Hal Finney sent a message to the Cypherpunk emailing list, and it had a very famous quote in there where he was saying, God, I wish I could find it exactly. It was a fun little statement, but yeah, that's how long those guys were working on it. 1992 is when the beginnings of Bitcoin first started, even though the white paper and the software and everything didn't actually get released until 2008, 2009. These guys were trying to solve this problem for a very long time.
Yeah. I mean, and then somebody said, where'd it go? Somebody said Bitcoin was the joke. Dogecoin is the real number one that Musk is going to push. But moving on here, minting 10 a.m. Eastern time today. The Budverse FIFA World Cup live scoreboard NFT collection allows buyers to select the country they wish to follow and mint a scoreboard that will track its progress throughout the competition. This is kind of cool. Budweiser isn't the only beverage that has gotten into NFTs. Pepsi released its Mic Drop NFTs in December. Bud Light, which is Budweiser, is owned by Anheuser-Busch, launched its first collection in January. So this is pretty cool. Get an NFT, keep track of the score. I think it's gonna be a big hit with the NFT people, but it's like, I know I can already hear the haters. Well, you could just Google the score. It's like, yeah, but it's not an NFT. You don't get it. Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, this is super interesting. I don't really have much to say about this. It's pretty cool though. I'd like to see this for UFC. I'm not a big FIFA guy, but I am a big UFC guy. So I'd like to, maybe get some UFC, get into the NFT game. Dana White, Frankie Candles is calling you out. Make some NFTs. I will buy them. But yeah, super, super cool stuff there. Moving on to Beeple. We got Beeple building. Oh, there we go. Beeple building physical studios to bring NFTs into the real world. Mike Beeple Winkleman made headlines last year with his record-breaking you guys remember that, $69 million sale of NFT artwork at Christie's auction, and followed that up with a Time magazine cover and the Tonight Show appearances. Now he's aiming to bring the NFT world to even more people by establishing a real-world studio that will host exhibitions, which is interesting, right? Because I kind of see this as I don't want to say a step backwards, but just like, All right, we went from regular art to digital art, and now we're just going back to regular art, just backed by, I saw a video of some guy. They had like a similar to this, an art exhibition where they had printouts, physical NFTs, or I guess they were digital picture frames with the NFTs, but the ledger, there was a ledger containing the
Yeah.
actual NFT behind it. So it's like you're actually viewing this piece of art with the actual asset there. And listen, I'm bullish on NFTs as a technology. But yeah, it's like it's there where you start to lose me. It's like it's this weird clashing of worlds.
It's so funny. I saw the same. I feel exactly the same way when it comes to NFTs, where it's like, yeah, you're trying to take this new innovative technology and put it in an art gallery, which I get it, but like it doesn't really hit the same way. Like,
Right.
I mean, I understand the concept of like, oh, this could be anywhere in the world, but you're actually in the room because the hardware
Right.
wallet's behind it. It's like, okay, yeah, cool, but why?
Right. That's my exact question is like, okay, and now we're just back to square one.
Exactly.
So super interesting. This is not hate on NFTs. I can already hear people. But no, it is interesting, right? It's just like, hey, now we're making digital art, and now you can come to this place and physically view it. It's just, yeah, I was kind of thrown off by that. But it says, there's a little quote here from people. It says, I believe by showing people that this artwork can absolutely be shared and appreciated in real life, not just our tiny screens. People wrote, they will see that this medium is just like any other with the ability to bring beauty, provoke thoughtful discussion, and truly move us. And I mean, yeah, that is all very true. I would agree with that. But I just, what makes it then different than
Yeah, it
regular
sounds like
art?
to me what they're trying to do is get the regular art world into like just
Right.
make the regular art world in it, kind of like XRP is for banks. Like make it like something they're used to, they're familiar with, they can wrap their heads around, and then they'll start buying some of this stuff, and then that'll push the technology forward. So it's like if that's the play, sure, go ahead,
Yeah.
get some of those big art spenders to buy some of that high end NFT art, and I guess people will talk about it.
Right. It's like, hey, guys, how are we going to get the traditional art world into NFTs? Dress it up.
Yeah.
Dress it up like regular art. Trick
Yeah.
them.
Make it sound fancy and exclusive, and make it basically all you have to do is convince them their friends will think they're cool if they do this,
Yeah.
and then they'll give you money.
100%. But yeah, momentum grew quickly and peaked when Beeple's every days, the first 5,000 days, a collage containing his previous daily artwork postings sold for $69.3 million at auction in March of 2021. Last November, Beeple followed it up with the sale of Human One, a physical/digital hybrid sculpture with an NFT component for $28.9 million. Absolutely insane. Shout out to Beeple. I mean, he's crushing it. Selling an NFT for $69 million. You guys all remember that. Absolutely insane. But again, yeah, I kind of get, get torn there. I'm like,
Yeah. To be honest, it's funny to see him taking this approach now. When he first did this, I don't know if he was sold on NFTs. Like, I don't know. Like, they paid a lot of money for this stuff, which is cool, I guess. But
right.
it's different than my experience in the past.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was kind of like, I don't really. Yeah, it's almost like he didn't understand it. But hey, and maybe the crypto world just won him over. But moving on here, Uniswap's $165 million funding proves how user interest in DeFi is constantly evolving. Here's how. Uniswap Labs on Thursday announced its $165 million Series B funding round led by Polychain Capital. The deal is dubbed as one of the biggest deals ever conducted in the DeFi space, which, according to several crypto analysts, is proof enough of how the interest of investors in DeFi domain is evolving positively amid the bear market phase. And this is I'll continue on before I get into it. In his interview with Fortune, Adams further added how Uniswap Labs is currently not profitable and will make use of Series B funding to expand its product offerings to a whole new level. The funding will also be used to make the company financially stable in the coming years. So, I mean, good news again, like the fact that, we're in a bear market and we're continuing to see interest evolve and grow is a super, super good sign, right? And we see these companies continuing to build, right? They're taking the Series B to expand their product lines. And, this is good. It means they're building in the bear market. This is what we need. Obviously, bear markets are oftenly referred to as, cleansing periods, right? Cleanse all the garbage out. Because in the bull market, you got everyone and their grandma trying to come up with a project and get a quick money grab. Everyone's buying these coins. They're 100xing. And then the bear market, cleanses the whole market of all of the, all of the garbage projects, all of the scams, all of the rug pulls. And then, rug pulls are not really, as common, obviously, in a bear market, because they don't have the average person as interested in the market. So, seeing someone like Uniswap continuing to build here, I mean, we've covered so many stories, and I've said this so many times, like, a lot of people lose faith in crypto. I know if you're watching this stream, you have not lost faith and never will in crypto. But just to see people building in the bear market is just, continues, because it gets dark in the bear market, right? You're just like, oh, wow, man, like Cardano dropped another 10 cents or whatever it might be. But to see people continuing to build just kind of gives you that extra, that extra sense of reassurance that, things will turn around at some point. And I don't see with just the technology, right? Like for me, NFTs are not, when I think NFT, I don't even really think of digital art, or I really think about house deeds, licenses, car titles. This is really where I think, and this is an unpopular opinion, they're going to come at me for this, but I think the fuzzy pink penguin club thing, I think that's over.
Yeah.
Sure, maybe it'll happen a little bit in the next bull run. I don't think it's going to be a big thing, but I really am so bullish on NFT, the actual technology of non-fungible tokens. I mean, just imagine being able to have your actual driver's license on your phone, and it's actually verifiable and less fakeable than a physical one.
100%. Yeah, I agree with you entirely. But coming back to the Uniswap, because I would have a lot of opinions on NFTs too, but I'll come back to the Uniswap story here for just a minute. What I'm really encouraged about is seeing a big raise like this going to a DeFi protocol, not going to an exchange, not going to another centralized service provider or entity or anything like that. This is a DeFi protocol that really is in a lot of ways, I mean, probably isn't. There's, the backbone to DeFi on Ethereum. It is what got that DeFi ecosystem going. If anybody talks about DeFi summer in 2020, it was really 2018, 2019, and then it taking off in 2020. Uniswap, that they were the ones that kind of created liquidity staking and solved the problem of liquidity on a DeFi exchange, because for a long time you used a decentralized exchange. Sure, it sounded great, you could go on there and do a swap, and then you went and put, okay, I want to swap this for this, and realize like, oh, there's no liquidity on this exchange, I'll never get this swap done, even though it can technically do it. Well, then they added, once they added locking up value and providing liquidity through Uniswap, boom, it took off, and there was a whole new industry that was born. So seeing a protocol like this get funding in the bear market, they're building, it's getting better. It's going to be critical for us to fight things in the future that are centralized, and things like Uniswap make that possible. So I'm excited on a human level to see things like this still growing and moving forward in the bear market, like you said, which is a time for consolidating, building, and it would be a shame. We've seen a lot of other DeFi protocols get wiped out in this bear market.
Yeah.
So this one is one, I'm glad to see Uniswap and, a decentralized exchange, continue to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, the fact that it's DeFi is, super exciting, especially in a bear market. We love to build in the bear market. But moving on here, our next story, another Uniswap story. Uniswap to deploy on privacy-focused ZK Sync.
Boom.
Following community vote. Uniswap is a smart contract-based crypto exchange with the governance token Uni, which allows users to trade, supply, and borrow assets. ZK Sync, on the other hand, uses a novel technology called ZK Rollups to offer a privacy-focused scaling solution to users, allowing for faster transactions and lower fees. The firm said that ZK Sync ecosystem has over 100 projects committed to launching on mainnet, including top DeFi protocols, infrastructure, and on and off ramps. The proposal passed with nearly 100% of all votes agreeing to deploy Uniswap on ZK Sync, with over 72 million Uni staked by users. Just 120 Uni was used to vote against the proposal, close to 0%. Yeah, I was going to say, is that right? Just 120? No 1,000 or anything? Very interesting. Again, just really touching on, continuing to build in the bear market. This is good news. And,
One, it's critical to decentralization as well.
Right.
I mean, privacy, they know an attack vector against them is going to be, they might try to outlaw DeFi exchanges and stuff based on, certain transactions. And as long as it's a protocol and it's decentralized, it's very hard to get rid of it. And if people can have privacy through, ZK rollups, and that's something that's going to be coming to a lot of different chains, it helps the entire ecosystem grow, in my opinion.
Yeah,
It's a critical feature.
yeah, absolutely. And again, like you were saying, like you were happy to see this happen with you know, a decentralized you know, something decentralized rather than a centralized exchange, right? Which obviously everybody in crypto would be for. So yeah, I this is good news. Good news for Uni. I actually have. I will say this. I'm gonna come out here.
Uh-oh.
I've never owned Uni. Ever.
Okay. I thought you were about to say you've never used Uniswap, and
Oh, no.
I was
Oh,
like, are
absolutely
you
not.
really about to say
Yeah,
you've
oh,
never
no.
used Uniswap?
Yeah. No, I've just never bought and held Uni.
Okay.
But moving on here, let's go ahead and see why is XRP surging. So yeah, this one's interesting. You know, obviously XRP has been doing pretty well. The price of XRP surged on October 14th, climbing double figures in the last 24 hours as the token managed to reclaim the crucial 50-cent price mark. And there you go, little chart for you. The total market worth of XRP, market cap of XRP is 25.046 billion, adding almost 3 billion in market cap in the last 24 hours alone from $22 billion a day earlier. But yeah, I mean, I was gonna show. I mean, I could pull it up for like 3 seconds. You know, XRP chart, obviously, we did rip. We are currently holding above, this is the weekly chart, but currently sitting at about 49 cents. That 50-cent level is a key level to hold. And we do have some volume gaps here between 50 cents and 55 cents. So, you know, we kind of just been hanging out here, kind of bouncing around 55 cents, which is good to see from XRP, especially with, you know, obviously they're in the lawsuit. Hopefully we can see this thing end at some point. You know, that would be nice. But yeah, I mean, good news for XRP. XRP's been doing well. And shout out to anybody on my channel that saw us talking about a XRP short recently. It was looking pretty bearish on the daily just for a pullback. Didn't say it was going to zero, but played out very, very nicely. But moving on here, here's when XRPL NFTs may appear as amendment fix is in final stage.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting. Let me zoom in on that. A new standard for creating complex NFT applications on XRP Ledger may appear as early as the beginning of November. The conclusion follows from a post on XRPL website. After almost a month, the vote to remove the mechanism that caused the critical bug has garnered the necessary 80% of votes. XRPL enthusiasts have only to wait until the vote is over and the fix is enabled, which could happen as soon as October 27th. It is believed that the new standard will equip XRPL with the tools it needs to mass mint, trade, and burn NFTs. The development of the amendment became possible after Ripple launched a $250 million fund aimed at supporting NFT creators. So interesting. I mean, we're seeing XRP, you know, XRP NFTs. Shout out to DZ and Justin. Obviously I am not a huge NFT guy. I get exclusively all of my NFT alpha from NFT Alpha. Guys, go follow NFT Alpha if you are not already. But the XRP NFTs are live. You can get XRP NFTs.
So yeah, yes and no, and that's kind of what this article is talking about. There
Yeah.
are NFT. Where's my camera? NFTs on XRP right now, but they're not real NFTs. There's no smart contract or code from what I understand. It's basically just JavaScript.
Yeah.
So this update is designed to create, get the XRP ledger, XRPL ready to host actual real NFTs that can be verified and, like it was saying, mass minted and features and burned and that sort of stuff. So that's what this is designed to do.
Okay. Yeah. So, because that's our boy BJ here at the office. He's a big advocate for calling XRP JavaScript.
Yeah.
Which apparently isn't untrue from what I understand.
No.
For the most part. So, interesting. NFTs coming to XRP, I guess officially at some point here. But I love XRP, so I might, if when that becomes more of a popular thing, I am definitely going to. That might be when I really get into NFTs, just because I love XRP. I love this. Shout out to Dave Digital. I love the hot dog key and then candles, Frankie candles.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But moving on here, I think these are the quick hits. Tether eliminates commercial paper from reserves in transparency push. Tether has completely eliminated commercial paper from its reserves. The largest largest stablecoin, announced the milestone today in a blog post that it would replace those investments with U.S. Treasury bills. So now they are backed by T-bills rather than milestone of the blog post would replace it, eliminated commercial paper. So they're replacing their commercial paper. Now it is backed by T-bills, which is interesting. I know a lot of people were worried about Tether losing its peg and pulling another Celsius, but Tether is not an algorithmic stablecoin, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not an absolute expert on stablecoins, but
Tether is definitely not an algorithmic stablecoin,
Yeah.
and they have tons of money. They have been audited somewhat. People always question if the audit's legit or not, but at this point, I would trust Tether as much as any stablecoin at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And our next quick hit, let's see. Oscar winner Anthony Hopkins' first NFT collection sold out in minutes on OpenSea.
Huh.
Interesting. Good for you, Anthony.
Yeah.
We love you, bro. Moving on here. Our last quick hit, Binance launches $500 million lending pool for Bitcoin miners. Interesting. I don't think, we don't have any highlights here. But yeah, it could just bear market activities, guys. People continue, the legitimate organizations are going to continue to push forward the space in, whether we're in a bull market or a bear market. So just remember, I know, sometimes things get boring in a bear market. Even the news is sometimes, lackluster or whatever. But like I always say, if you are here watching this stream right now, whether you watch 5 minutes of it, 10 minutes of it, if you're paying attention, you are winning. You are a winner, and you will prevail in the next bull market. And when all the retail comes back in, they're going to look at you and be like, well, you were lucky. You got lucky on that coin. No, you were studying in the bear market when nobody else wanted to pay attention. So please, if you're watching this stream, go ahead and pat yourself on the back. You're doing an awesome job, and you're doing the right thing. And if you want to see Bitcoin eventually move out of this bear market, go ahead and smash that like button, and smash the like button for Anthony, for our boy Anthony here selling his NFTs. But with that being said, guys, shout out. I see a lot of you guys in chat showing support. I do appreciate you guys so much. And with all that being said, I think that's all we got for today's show. I'll see you guys next time. Smash that like button on your way out. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.